Imagine living with people from more than 80 countries. The first night, you realize school will never be the same again. Today, we're going inside UWC with Nick, a student from the German National Committee at UWC Robert Bosch College, to find out what this experience is really like. Enjoy.
One, two, three, four.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Brief Podcast. Today we have a wonderful guest, Nick, who is going to tell us all about how he got into UWC and what it takes to be here. Nick, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me today.
Of course. So let's start at the very beginning. How did you actually get in?
So for me, it was like, for the German NC, it was, I think, a bit different than from to other NCs. So I got to know UWC through an article I read online about a girl who went to Robert Bosch College. And then I just checked out the website, which was very helpful, by the way, the German website from the German NC. And then I said, why not try? So I tried because I thought to myself, the values that are represented here are also my values. And I think this is a perfect school for me. And so I applied. And the first round was an online questionnaire, an online form you had to fill out, had to write a lot of essays about different topics, and fill out general information about yourself and all that stuff. And then you had to wait for, I don't know, maybe, I think 2 months or something.
Mhm.
And then in February 2024, I got the exception to the second round. So my application was moved to the second process of the application. And then we were invited to a selection weekend in Wiesbaden in Germany, where the selection process was where the final selection process was going on. And so I arrived there, I think it was Friday, and it was from Friday to Sunday, and it directly started on Friday. And we had a lot of interviews, group interviews, solo interviews, group work. And honestly, it was such a great time because it doesn't matter if you get in or not, but the weekend alone was really, really nice. Because you got to know so many nice people and so many special people. It was just an amazing experience. The weekend alone, I was like, wow, what is this place? And so I left on Sunday, and then I was on the first weekend because there are 2 selection weekends in the German process, a selection process. And so I had to wait 2 weeks for the results, and because of the second selection weekend. And then 2 weeks later, I got accepted to Robert Bosch College. In Germany, this is you cannot choose to which college you want to go to. You just can get preferences. And then I got accepted to Robert Bosch College, and ever since I'm here.
Very nice, very nice. So I think you've given us a very thorough follow through of the selection process. But maybe let's go back a bit. So, because a lot of people think that you need perfect grades to get into UWC, and that's not true. In fact, sometimes what feels like a weakness can actually make you stand out. So could you tell us more about the academics in your school before applying to UWC?
Exactly, yeah, definitely. So before coming to UWC, I did not have perfect grades, so don't worry. The only thing for the German NC, at least, is that you have in your main subjects, I think it's 4, they're going to list it on the website, you cannot add over 10. So the German school system has grades from 1 to 6, and if you add the 4 main subjects together, it shall not count over 10. So you don't need to have a 1.0, exactly. And so I didn't have a 1.0 as well. And you can also apply, students can also apply from the Realschule. So you do not need to be on the Gymnasium. if you are worried about that. It's yeah. And my previous subjects, they were like pretty much like a standard subject, like sciences and languages. I had German, English, and Italian, and then a few other social sciences. So it's nothing like special that I did before.
Okay, very interesting. And I think going back to the application more precisely, what would you say going through the application process was kind of like the strangest or the most difficult question that you had to face during the selection process?
Well, I've actually two. So one was on the online application where the question was, I believe, if two people, dead or alive, could talk together, what would they talk about? And I think it was kind of like about famous people. So I was like, this is kind of weird. I've never had this question before in my life. Like, what would I write about? So that was something I was like, wait a second, what is this? And then, but if you think about it, if you maybe a few hours, few days, when you think about it, you'll get a right answer on it. Not, it doesn't have to be right. There's nothing that's not right or wrong, because you get an appropriate answer. And then the second thing I was like confused about a bit was in the solo interviews during the selection process in Wiesbaden. It was a solo interview where you get asked questions, like really weird questions about situations where there's factually no like getting out of the situation. They just want to see how you react under pressure. And I've never been in the situation where you get asked a question where there's no solution to. So you just kind of have to be calm and think about it and then try to give an answer. And again, there's no right or wrong. The selectors just want to see how do you react under stress and pressure.
Mhm.
So
Okay, that's very interesting then. So if you could give one piece of advice to someone that is writing their application essays today, I mean, you gave the example of the question about two people that are dead or alive that you could bring together. What other advice would you give to someone currently in the process of writing their essay?
I personally would advise them to be their own, like be your own self. Try to write everything as it is, because it's not helpful for you to fake and like to have a fake identity, because that's not what the school is about. It's about how you are, and you could accept it on your own values and your personality. Um, and I think this is my first advice, and my second advice would be, please don't stress about getting in or not. Because just because you might not get in doesn't mean you're a less valuable person. And also, it's like super, super nice. The weekend as well, just enjoy everything you get on your UWC journey.
Okay, that is very wholesome. Do you think that there is something you could, or if you were to go back in time, what is something you would do before coming here to RBC in order to kind of prepare for the experience?
Oh, I would personally say there's nothing on this earth that would prepare you, that can prepare you for IBC. Like when I asked my second years beforehand, oh, what's it like in RBC? What is this? And they told me about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds nice. That sounds like, oh, okay, I don't know. And then I arrived here, and my experience was completely different, like completely different. And I thought to myself, we had a preparations weekend in the German NC as well, and nothing we did there was really like, it couldn't prepare me the feeling you have here. Like it's super different, and there's no way of explaining a UWC, just have to experience it.
Yeah.
So to be prepared, I don't know if that's even really possible.
Okay, yeah, no, that's true. The experience here is very new, of course, and it's very different to anything that a lot of us have ever experienced. And that means that your first day at the college here is usually quite unforgettable. For some, it's a new country, a new city, a new state, new roommates, new cultures, and sometimes you can't really understand people speaking your own language. So let's talk about like kind of those first impressions that you had when you first came in. You must have had the idea first come in, oh, the college might be like this, it might be like that. But what was it actually stepping into the college and settling into it gradually?
Well, I remember when I arrived here, my parents drove me here by car, which I'm really thankful for. And I arrived here and it was super warm. The day was super hot. I think it was like 30 degrees. And I was super nervous when I arrived. So I stepped out of the car and then I went to the welcome desk and everyone just greeted me. And I was like, this was such a new experience to me. Like when everybody's greeting you, although they don't know you, right? And then I got my room and one of my roommates already arrived and he was super nice to me and it was such a moment for me then. Like I didn't know what to expect from roommates,
Yeah.
and then just coming to room and being welcomed by one, it was just so nice. And then my other roommate arrived after and it was just such a nice experience at all. And the day was very overwhelming for me because we didn't have a schedule that day, the first day arrival day, but you meet so many new people and you socialize a lot. And you get to know so many different cultures, so many different people. It's so diverse here. And I didn't expect it to be that intense, but not the bad intense, but the good intense. And I really, really enjoyed it. Um, but the I didn't expect it to be that intense. But
Yeah. I think those situations kind of usually result in the most like learning that you do, and they also result in some funny or awkward misunderstandings that can happen. So, would you recall a memory that you thought, okay, this is the first time I've experienced this, or like a culture shock, or like a moment where of awkwardness, or funny that you encountered when you first came into the school?
so for me, what I didn't expect to be that different, like the different cultures, was when I was in Mensa, so in our cafeteria, and we were eating dinner, and then I saw a few people leaving food aside, and I was asking myself because I was raised, don't leave food aside, because then it might see like, oh, the food didn't taste good, right? But then I asked them, and they said, oh, it's in our culture, it's polite to leave a food aside on the table a bit, on the plate a bit, um, and that's what we do. And I was like, I was like, wow, I didn't know that about these different cultures. And that was like something unexpected that day. Yeah.
So would you say there's something that you found necessarily difficult at the start, but turned out to be easy? Because when you first coming here, it takes a lot of energy to, of course, socialize, get to know everyone, and know your way around campus, and you also encounter a lot of challenges.
Yeah. So I have actually two things when thinking about the question. The first thing was the socializing part because personally would say, or also before coming to RBC, I was a very social person, but the intensity of the social life here is completely different, and I think I completely underestimated it. So the first few weeks were on like social life. It was pretty intense, and pretty sometimes even a bit hard. But in general, it was a very nice experience. But it was nothing compared um to before because you meet 100 new people, or actually 200 new people, um, and it's just a very intense feeling. And also, what I found in the beginning a bit difficult, but now not anymore, was when sleeping at night with roommates in the room.
Yeah.
Um, people might snore, people might sleep talk. So I found it a bit difficult in the beginning, but I got used to it very fast, and it's just no problem for me anymore.
So what would you say is like your best memory, your best part living with a lot of people here together now?
I mean, the best part would also be for my room because we used to have a lot of roomie times where you just get into one's corner and eat snacks, drink some tea or coffee, no, just tea, and also just having the chat with them, or just watching a movie. And I think that's so different when you live together with people, with 25 people in a house. It's it's sometimes very challenging because you might get into a fight or something like this. But in the end, I think it's the from my first year, what I learned is that it's a really valuable thing to have roomies, and because you can talk to them whenever you want, If you need anything, you can rely on them. At least that was my experience in my room. Um, and yeah, I just loved our roomie times.
That is very nice. So people usually say that the IB is quite intense, which is in a lot of cases an understatement. But at UWC, it can feel quite brutal sometimes. But students also find tricks to survive and even enjoy it. So let's now get into a bit of the academics part of UWC. What would you say your favorite subject has been so far, and what has been, let's say, the hardest one that you faced?
So for me, it would definitely be German and English. I enjoy the most because I'm more like a language kind of guy. So these subjects would be one of my favorites. And my most challenging subject would either be maths or I don't know, bio, I would say.
Yeah.
But not the kind of challenging where you don't want to do the subject because the subjects in general they are really interesting. But it's just that the IB is sometimes so much that doing these kind of subjects, like a lot of content in these kind of subjects, feels like a sometimes like a burden when when you need to do other things. You know what I mean? Like for example, IAs or EE, and you still have to have this really huge workload
Yeah.
of math and bio.
So how do you usually manage that workload?
So what I usually do to calm myself down or get rid of the school stress, I love to listen to music or even play the piano myself. It's just something that helps me get rid of like school stress or academics in general. What I also love to do is going to the city with friends, um, just to um, just to hang out there. It's a great city. Freiburg, especially Freiburg, is a great city. You can do so much activities. You have so many nice cafes and bars and all that. So yeah, that's what I do. And sometimes even I go play tennis with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
That's very nice. So moving on very swiftly, if the IB were an animal, which one would it be and why?
Oh, it would definitely be does the animal have to be alive or can it also be extinct?
Let's say one for each.
Okay, so if it would have been alive, would be alive, it would definitely be like crocodile. It would definitely be a crocodile because sometimes it's just chilling in the water, so it's just chilling, and then suddenly it attacks and you get sucked out, and you get under the water, and yeah, that's just it. And some it's just really chill. And if it weren't, if like all animals that ever lived, I mean, I would probably like be a Tyrannosaurus Rex because it is very intense sometimes, but it is also doable because dinosaurs are extinct now.
Let's move a bit to our last few questions in regards to extracurriculars and traditions. So only at UWC can you have a math exam in the morning and an international food festival at night. The extracurriculars and the traditions make this place unlike any other school. So let's explore that a bit through some of the most unconventional stuff that RBC does. So what would you say is some of the weirdest selection of traditions that RBC?
So we have quite a few traditions at RBC, but it also depends on the community. If if you're, for example, Afro-Caribbean community, or if you're Asian, East Asian, whatever community, it depends completely on the community. But what the weirdest thing I would say in the RBC tradition would be is in Mensa when you drop a plate and it shatters or it doesn't shatter, everybody will start clapping, and that was such a new experience to me. But it's also very fun. So yeah, and coming back to also having a math exam in the morning and then in the evening you have like a cultural thing or like a traditional. meeting or dinner. I think that's what RBC makes. That's how RBC is shaped. So you don't only have academic, school, CAS, extra curriculums. You also have the fun part because sure you have the math exam in the morning, but also you can enjoy the dinner with your friends in the evening. It's like a whole package. It's not just one on one. It's a whole thing. It's a whole experience that you live through, and I think that's what makes RBC so special. So special.
That is very nice. That is very, very nice. Has there been a moment where you were like, oh, only at RBC, only at a UWC would this ever happen?
For sure. Only at the UWC it would happen that you would hear, I don't know, 30 different languages in just, I don't know, 30 minutes. Because as far as I know, there's no other boarding school or international school that has so many different nationalities as a UWC. And it's just super, super nice to just get in contact with everybody else and maybe also try to learn the language or a few phrases. And I think it's just super, super special. Yeah.
That is very nice. So now we're moving to our closing section of our interview here. So let's say when you graduate, what is the one story from RBC that you know you will tell forever?
Probably when we showered a friend. And I think we did it. So showering is when it's your birthday and you turn 18, 17, 19, 20, whatever. And you get showered by your friends.
So we've talked about the application, we talked about the IB, we talked about life at UWC, but it's also the funny stories, the lessons, and the unforgettable moments that we make during our time here, some even involving ketchup. So, what is one word to describe the UWC experience up until this point?
Oof, that's a tough one.
No dinosaurs.
No dinosaurs. I don't think there would be one word for it, but if I really had to give it one word, I think I would give it unimaginable.
Incredible. Incredible. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Nick.
Thank you.
If you're thinking about applying to UWC, you're just curious about what life is here, check out our other episodes where we go deeper into each part of the journey. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Nick, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Don't stay focused, I think about focus.